The following is a special presentation of Extreme E-Speed TV, your new home for everything iRacing and E-Speed.
Good evening, race fans. It is Thursday Night Thunder presented by Flatline Racing Gambler Motorsports, and we have our 355 small block modifieds kicking off tonight as we are at Federated Auto Parts at I-55 Speedway. And joining me tonight, as always, is John Hine. John, this is just down the road from you, and it should be a bunch of exciting racing here from this short track in Missouri. John, you got a copy? As we will wait for John, as mentioned, we are here at I-55 tonight, small block modifieds. And John, this Missouri track's just down the road from you. No qualifying here as we get right into our heat racing action here in week number 3.
Yeah, and they're already gridding up there on the front straightaway. You've got Jacob Massau, that I keep wanting to say Moscow, but Massau, right there in the front row in his number 61 machine. Next to him will be Jeff Barker. Joseph Massau will be in the inside there of row number 2, starting in the 3rd spot. Alex Palmer-Luby is outside. Then we're going to have Dan McLaren and Isaac Salas there in row number 3, and rounding out the field will be the 518. That's Joseph Grandy.
So So that is our starting lineup here tonight. That's what will get us going. As heat race number 1 will get underway as the racing action here from I-55 kicks off. Of course, heat race number 1 here during the spring season, presented by Flatline Racing Bodies.
This is such a fun track, Travis, here to run in iRacing. You know, there's a lot of action. Things happen a lot, really, really fast here, and you stay busy behind the wheel. That's for sure. You know, you're only on the front and back stretch for maybe a second and a half, but the rest of the time you're spent in the corners as we're going green.
Going green, we are. It's Barker to the outside. He'll make his way around. It looks like Pomalu will go around back there in the pack.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a hip check from the 63. It looked like the 63 kind of walked it up the track a little bit, and both Pomalu and Salas got caught up in that a little bit, but we got a good battle here for second with Verstraeten and Barker.
Great battle there for second. Talking about this track, John, laps click by very quickly here as we're 2 down, 4 to go.
Yeah, and it's Dan McLaren and Jeff Barker. I see that 88. We got a couple of 88s in the field here today. Verstraeten is the other one there, but yeah, good battle here for second, and doesn't look like one line is better than the other. These guys are running 2 different lines. Barker's a little further up the track, and it looks like McLaren is trying to get to his inside as some contact is made.
As they continue to battle there. Oh, there's more contact, as Barker will be the beneficiary of that, and now there's a battle for third on back.
Yes, that... Yeah. You saw that coming for probably about a half a lap. All that contact coming out of 4, and then they get into 1 there, and look like Isaac didn't realize maybe that contact was going on or how much it was slowing him up, and just kind of finished everything off there. But we go back up to the front. Leader is kind of checked out, but there's that battle for second is still going. It's still Barker, but now it's Joseph Grandy. Oh, the race is over just like that.
As mentioned, Mousa will win. Barker will hold on to that second spot. Grandy will come home third. And the speed of these, we're down 1 heat already as we'll move on to our Langton Mechanical heat race number 2.
Yes, as we move on there, and they're getting ready on the front stretch, we'll go through the lineup here. On the pole will be the 93 of Jason Butterfield. To his outside, I mentioned his name a little earlier, in the 088, that's Trent Verstraeten. Starting in the second row will be the 08 of Cody Graham. Next to him will be Brandon Templeton. In the final row will be Jeff Flaro and Patrick Spangler.
So a pretty deep field here in this one, especially when you have Flaro and Spangler starting in that third and final row. Be fun to watch them to try to move up through the field.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder to do that now when the track has a lot of grip in it, a lot of tack. You can make a lot of time on the bottom. You can make a little bit of time up on the top. Very, very difficult here to make passes, especially in a field like this. This is a tough heat with Templeton and Verstraeten up there. Wow, this is going to be tough.
We'll get going back to green here with Langton Mechanical heat race number 2. It's Butterfield Verstraeten up in that front row down the backstretch. Templeton using that outside line as he watches those 2 leaders battle for the lead.
Yeah, right now Templeton doesn't really have anywhere to go. You know, he's trying to figure out which lane is going to move, and looks like he's going to choose the bottom there. Butterfield does have a little bit of an advantage coming out of 4 now.
So that's Templeton to the inside. Spangler's now that odd man out watching on from 4th as they're side-by-side for second. Butterfield will benefit from that as he's running up front now as he starts to stretch out a lead as they continue to battle for second.
Yeah, right now Templeton's got a slight advantage over Verstraeten, and Verstraeten is hanging on though up top while Templeton works the bottom.
Verstraeten has Spangler now behind him to that outside. As Spangler goes high, that 08 of Graham looks to the inside. Now we're 2 by 2 from second on back as Butterfield will take the white flag.
1 to go here. It's almost still a dead heat for that second and even third and fourth there. 2 by 2, Noah's Ark style, going through 3 and 4.
It's going to be Butterfield with the win. Second will go to Verstraeten as right behind them Spangler will edge Graham for 4th. And now, quickly, we move on to heat race number 3, presented by Venom Racing.
On the pole for this one is going to be Gary Sigelkow and his number 25 machine. Next to him will be Jeff Sharp. Starting in the second row will be Daniel Blau and Kurt Schatzer. And in the third row will be Jonathan Krupa and Dean Reynolds.
So we'll continue to map out that feature event starting lineup as we move on to heat race number 3. How will this track change throughout the night? We'll have that 30-lap A main coming up eventually. 30 laps out on this short track, what will happen to the surface there, John?
Oh, it'll slick up quite a bit, and then guys will start to move around. You'll see some guys run in the middle. You'll see some guys running up top. You'll see some that can make the bottom work. The big thing with these cars as we go through turns 3 and 4, getting ready to go green, is keep your momentum up. So whatever lane you choose in, that better be the lane that you can keep your momentum going.
So they'll take the green flag. That second row getting aggressive there on those leaders as it's the 218 of Schatzer getting into the back of the 25. Dean Reynolds makes contact as they get things straightened out, but a wild start to this one.
Yeah, guys are not holding their lane very well and kind of moving around a little bit. That tells me the track might be getting just a little bit slicker, not quite that grip. But they seem to have adjusted well, and that's going to really benefit Jeff Sharp out front here.
Jeff Sharp has separated. Sigelkow now runs second. Then you have Schatzer and Blau behind them. As now it's Schatzer looking to the inside of that 25. Oh, and around goes Sigelkow. It's the 17 of Blau that will benefit as he moves into second.
And Jonathan Krupa took a hard hit and tumbled through 1 and 2. While Sigelkow was just spinning around, and he gassed it up, and wow, just destroyed Krupa.
So out front, it's still Jeff Sharp as the white flag will wave. Blau, Schatzer, Reynolds run nose to tail. Oh, and Blau gets into the wall.
Yeah, there is a place there where in the real world cars exit the track, and that sticks out a little bit. If you're up there too close, it will grab you and wreck you, and that's exactly what happened to Schatzer as the race comes to an end there with the 28 of Jeff Sharp taking the win.
And a wild heat race number 3 there. As we get them off the track, move on to our next phase here at I-55.
Yes, it is. We've got our 4th and I do believe final heat here.
Of course.
On the pole for this one is going to be the 75 is Steven Bixler. To his outside will be Brian Lawson. In the second row will be Randy Shreves and Andrew Smith. Rounding out your field will be G.J. Boydell and Bob DeGood.
So we move on to heat race number 4 presented by Mauer Farm Management.
And Travis, that track is really starting to slick off as I kind of got a nice drone view over the field here going into 1. I can see the entry to 1 is slicked up quite nice. So these guys are going to have to adjust their lines a little bit from what they were seeing earlier. And we saw the last one. Guys were having a hard time maybe just holding certain lines and stuff like that. And I hope they were paying attention to realize that they may have to adjust what they do going into 1 here.
As we moved on to that Young Gun Creations drone view as well, as now we go green here at I-55. It's Bixler on the inside. You got Lawson to the outside. Shreves pushing Bixler through 1 and 2 as he's trying to move up from the 3rd spot.
Yeah, a little contact between Shreves and Andrew Smith there. Shreves has taken over that 2nd spot. He's our 3rd spot, but he's looking for 2nd to grab that away from Brian Lawson. But Brian Lawson is trying to take the 1st spot. So we got a battle here for the front here. He's trying to take that 1st spot away from Bixler.
Shreves and Lawson almost splitting Bixler as they battle for that 2nd spot. Right behind Bixler. Bixler is able to separate here now with 3 laps to go as Lawson will take over that 2nd spot, at least for now.
Yeah, I think right now that line that Lawson's getting, I think it's just holding the momentum for the car a little bit better because looks like the 56 can actually kind of draw up a little bit on a mid-corner, but once you get to corner exit, that momentum just seems to carry the 9 car right around that 56.
Very quickly, we're on to the final lap here in heat race number 4. It's still Bixler out front, Lawson 2nd, Shreves 3rd, as they've got 2 corners left.
It looks like Bixler is going to hang on here and take the checkered flag with Lawson 2nd and Shreves 3rd.
And just like that, 4 heat races up, 4 heat races down, and we will move on to our B main presented by Gambler Motorsports.
Gambler Motorsports, who let those clowns sponsor anything? But we're going to have 9 slated to start here, and 8 will go. So there's going to be one gentleman going home here. So you definitely want to make sure that first lap, we've seen some chaos in one. You don't want to be caught up in that chaos. But the lineup is going to look like this. Alex Palmerlew on the pole. Next to him will be Cody Graham. Daniel Blau and Bob DeGood will occupy row number 2. Row number 3 is going to be Dan McLaren and Jeff Flero. Row number 4 is going to be Jonathan Krupa and Andrew Smith. And rounding out your field, former champion, which is really surprising to call his name at the back of a B main, but that's Isaac Salas.
Well, as you're going through those starters here in this B main, lots of names that we're used to here in Coast to Coast Racing League. And with someone going home tonight, someone could be in a unusual position.
Yeah, I mean, you look, I've seen McLaren, I've seen Palmerlew, obviously Salas, who's won races and championships, Flero. There's a lot of guys in here we're used to seeing up front, and that's going to make this race really interesting.
As they'll come out of 4, we'll go green here. 8 laps to go in this B main event. Palmerlew out front. He'll separate from Graham as they're 3 wide behind him as they battle for 3rd.
Palmerlew gets a nice start to this race and starting to kind of stretch out a little bit, but that real battle is about mid-pack here where McLaren and Salas and Andrew Smith are. They're side by side there, and McLaren jumps up in front of Salas there a bit. We got a wreck up front.
Around went Graham.
And then Flero, yeah. Lots of chaos. Wow.
They'll get back going. We'll let that sort out. Palmerlew stretches out. That'll put Flero, Andrew Smith running 8th and 9th as we had 2 separate incidences there on the backstretch, John.
Yeah, that affected essentially everybody but 3 cars and jumbled the field here. Currently, it is Andrew Smith that gets the raw end of the deal here. He is sitting 9th. That is the go-home spot. And before all that chaos, too, he was in a transfer spot.
And he has about 2 seconds up there to try to get to Jeff Flero and Cody Graham. As we've got 2 laps to go, Palmerlew has a 2.5 second lead.
Bob DeGood's in the wall.
And he is stuck there as they'll go by. Flero, Smith, Krupa now will advance. Palmerlew leads.
And Bob just caught the wall on his own on the backstretch, so that's going to drop him, essentially almost making it impossible here now. His laps are, he's going to need somebody to have a big problem.
We'll watch, and he will not make it up. So it's Bob DeGood that will go home. Alex Palmerlew wins the B main. And between that last heat and that B main, John, it got interesting quick.
It sure did. And this track, once it slicks off, I mean, I touched on the top of the show, you have your hands full, sawing the wheel left and right. The car wants to over-rotate, and then all of a sudden it'll grab. You got a wall that, I don't know why, and it feels more grippy than anywhere else we go. It's a wall that will just reach out and grab a hold of you, either going into one, in the middle of the corners, down the backstretch. But to go fast, you got to be right up against that wall. So, choose your path wisely. A lot of action there in that one. I don't think we had enough cameras to keep up with it all.
As currently we're in our intermission session presented by Ashwegan Speedway. As you see, Jacob Massow out there. Stephen Bixler's out there as well. So we saw it slick up, John. It did cause some issues. I feel like this feature event's going to give guys opportunities to make up some ground, but also kind of have some restarts that will allow them to reset as well.
Yeah, and if you're up front, you're kind of thinking you're lucky stars, because usually if there's craziness to be had, it's going to be back in the field where, it's easy to kind of get things checked up and you get an accordion. But judging by that B main, when you got guys like Salas and Palmerlew and McLaren, you're going to have some really fast cars in the back of the pack, and there's going to be some cars that are probably going to be maybe a tenth, maybe a couple tenths slower than what they are as they make their way through the field. So when you got the field strung out, through the pack, fast guys strung out through the pack, like what we are going to have here, that's going to make things dicey, make things interesting to watch. That's for sure.
As it's first straight and the fastest here in our intermission warm-up, under a minute to go. Joseph Massow second, third Brandon Templeton, fourth Alex Pomeloy, fifth Isaac Salas, one of those drivers that will start towards the rear. 30 laps around this track, John, and we can already see from the inside wall to that outside wall, drivers are using up the entire track.
Yeah, they are, and that's the nice thing about this track. It does give you options on what to do and get around people. It's wide, so there's room here to operate. But where you're operating, the margin between getting around there quick and having an issue like grabbing the wall or hitting the inside wall or over-rotating on the bottom and spinning, it's a very, very thin line, and that's what makes this track fun. You really have to drive it on edge to get around here quick. I mean, after watching that B main and that third heat race, I think it was, I was thinking of running the big block here after this, and I don't know, I'm thinking it might be safer up here with you.
Definitely always safe up here in the booth with me.
This is true.
So that is definitely a positive there. As another positive, we are getting set to move on to our 30-lap feature event, John.
Yeah, I mean, we did Hometown Heroes. Your dad and I did them with the bleacher bums here, but sadly, I heard a rumor that they banned your dad from being back here. I heard that he drank all their drinks and ate all the food, and so so just giving you a heads up, can't do that.
I will, as I normally have to, I will use my alias to show no relation.
I believe it. And here we go for the starting lineup. On the pole, it's going to be Jacob Massow in the 61. To his outside will be Jason Butterfield. Row number 2 is going to have Jeff Sharp and Steven Bixler. Jeff Barker and Trent Verstraeten is going to take up row number 3. Row number 4 is going to be Kurt Schatzer and Brian Lawson. Joseph Grandy, Brandon Templeton are going to be in your 8th and 9th spot, or excuse me, your 9th and 10th spot. Dean Reynolds, Randy Shrees are going to take up row 6. Row 7, Joseph Massow, Patrick Spangler, Gary Sigelkow, and Greg Boyd Dell are going to take up row 8. Row 9 is going to be Pomeloy and McLaren. Then Isaac Salas is going to be starting in the next row with Daniel Blau, Cody Graham, Jeff Flero. And it looks like the final row will be Andrew Smith and Jonathan Krupa.
Of course, Super Dirt Car Series, your presenting sponsor of our feature starting lineup. Looking at the field here as we're about to go green, John, anyone stick out to you as a pick?
No, I think this is a crapshoot here. I think we're going to see a lot of things unexpected crop up through this race.
Well, with that, we'll go green side by side off into turn number 1 for the first time, as it looks like we'll make it through, even though they are 3 wide back in the pack and racing quickly.
Yeah, there are lots of contact I saw, but everybody is keeping it straight, and we're still going green here, so that's a good sign. We got one lap into the bag here, so everybody can settle in here, find the line they need to run, and see what they can do.
So they continue as we watch Schatzer. He's in the middle there. Shreves will get out of the line. Spangler has to move there. That's a battle back in the pack. Up front, it's Jacob Massow with the lead as he's got Jason Butterfield looking for a line around him as they run up around the top for the front 5.
Yeah, and Massow is really making that bottom work. I'm impressed. Usually the top here, when the track conditions are like they are right now, usually you can get up there and rip that top, not having to use the brake or get off the gas too much. So good work. Well done there for Joseph.
So Joseph continues to lead. Some great battles back in the pack. This is Jeff Sharp on the inside. Brian Lawson to his outside. That's a battle for 6. As now you have that 513. That's Barker behind him trying to use that inside line as well. As they've got the slow car. Looks like the 98 machine to the inside through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he pulls in here, and that's going to bring out a caution where he pulled in there. But, no fault of his own or anything. He wasn't trying to bring it out intentionally. But everybody's going to get a chance now to catch their breath and evaluate where they're at, what lane they're going to be starting in, and you know, I think this restart probably is going to be even a little more aggressive than the last one. People know what they have under them, and you know, they're probably going to be a little more aggressive using it.
So as they get settled down, 23 laps to go as we look at our Young Gun Creations drone cam here at I-55. So Massa was able to pull away out front. It'll reset now with Butterfield behind him. Then it's Bixler, Verstraeten, Brandon, Templeton, your top 5 here early. Templeton went from 10th to 5th there during that green flag run, John.
Brandon is a beast in these, and also like the late model. So yeah, anytime he is in a field, he's one of the guys that you're gonna have to probably beat to win a race. So he's showing that now, and we're double foul here. Let's see if he can continue his quest moving forward here.
So it's Massau Butterfield in row number 1 as we go back to green. Massau will quickly slide up in front of the field as they head off into turn number 1. As the side-by-side action throughout the field picks right up right where we left off.
Yeah, and they are driving a little harder into the corners, but everybody is, so that makes it all look a lot smoother than what the initial start was here. But I see guys, oh, we got a big wreck over in 1 and 2.
As we'll bring up that replay. It looks like Spangler was involved in this one.
Yeah, he's already, he took that car right to the pits and right to the trailer. And Dean Reynolds gets into the wall in front of him, and it just, that accordion effect checks everybody up. And, Patrick got hung in the fence there.
So we'll get it reset again. As Massa was able to pull away from Butterfield there.
I am sure we'll see Patrick back for the big blocks. I would be a bit surprised if he didn't go over and already start unloading that other car and getting it ready.
So Massau, Butterfield, Verstraeten, Bixler, Templeton, your top 5. Lawson sitting in 6th just on the outside. And Isaac Salas, who we talked about, John, he's already made his way up. It looks like he's up about 7 spots here early.
Yeah, he's made a lot of ground up here, and he's got some time yet to get up there, but it's going to be a challenge here. I tell you, Massau's looking strong here early on.
So Massau brings us back to the green. He'll pull up in front of that outside line as they head off into 1 and 2. Verstraeten, Butterfield continue to battle side by side for second, as Verstraeten will overpower Butterfield as they go off into turn number 3.
Yeah, Verstraeten's going to have a big run going down the backstretch here. Draws up with Massau going into 3.
He'll get to his right rear down the front stretch, able to pull up beside him as he'll try to use that momentum to take the lead down the backstretch.
Oh, but a caution comes out. Looks like it might be Jeff Sharp down there. That's going to negate that pass for the lead.
We'll see if we can catch that latest caution.
Oh, maybe it wasn't Sharp. Oh, is by him, though.
Looks like it was the 88 of McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren, sorry.
And Andrew Smith involved.
Yeah, McLaren did a barrel roll down the front stretch, got into the wall on his own, and then it checked up, and it was a 08 on the bottom that caught my eye. Very similar paint job to Jeff Sharp's, actually.
So we'll get him lined back up. Verstraeten was on the move there. I think that next lap he may have been the leader at the line.
I think so, too. I think that momentum was starting to make a big difference out there on the track.
Also, Isaac Salas up 10 spots. He's now into 9th, so he moves into the top 10 as well, as we've got about 18 laps to go when we go back to green.
And they're going to go to single foul restarts now, so that'll make those guys that are back there, they're the quest to get up front, maybe just a little bit harder now.
So So back to green as it's Massau able to pull out ahead. Verstraeten will stay into second. Butterfield watches on from third as they make their way around. And really, it looks like that outside line's the preferred line now, John.
Yeah, but look at Verstraeten. He pulls a slide job up there as Massau goes to the top for the first time, but gets into the wall a little bit. You guys are trading sliders now. You look for it to be back in 1 and 2. Another slider. Here it comes.
So Verstraeten now to the outside as Massau fights back on that inside. And it's going to be Verstraeten with the momentum there. 15 laps to go in our feature event here for the small block modifieds.
Yeah, Verstraeten's got the lead now, and then now it's going to be Butterfield trying to get up on that second spot there. And look who's up top there trying to follow him through. That is the 31. That is Brandon Templeton. And we got another caution. I think that one is a 0-8.
Fourth caution. And I have Daniel Blau possibly involved in this one.
Oh, he catches that crossover gate on the backstretch, and yeah, there's a 0-8 comes in and kind of taps him. And there is so many orange and blue cars in this field.
There really is. Also, I've only done, I think, one night during the spring season. There's some different paint schemes than what I'm used to from winter season.
Yeah, well, the 28, the 0-8, the 98, the 088, you know, where I'm sitting, you know, they all look very, very similar, should I say.
You know, when I used to go to dirt tracks as a kid, we would try to pick the winners throughout the night.
Yeah.
And you'd always have that battle of the good-looking car versus maybe the beat-up car. And you're like, okay, is the good-looking car good-looking because it's a good car, or is it because he's running at the back every night? I feel like that's similar when you look out here where you're like, okay, what paint scheme do I want to go with?
Yeah, but the beat-up cars are usually the ones that are fast because those guys put all their money in the engine or whatnot, and not the aesthetics of the car. But Verstraeten jumps out back to the lead here, and he pulled a good lead on this start.
And he's got a good-looking car and a fast car here as we've got a dozen laps to go. Butterfield and Massau now battle side by side for that second spot, and it's blocking Templeton, who's now up to fourth.
Yeah, I think Templeton may be the fastest car. Between he and Salas, I think might be the two fastest, along with Verstraeten. If Templeton gets clear here in this battle for second, it'd be interesting to see if he can make some ground up on Verstraeten. He's going to have, if he gets around it, he's going to have to do it quick.
Verstraeten's up by about a second and a half now as they continue to battle for second. Templeton's now moved to the inside to get by Massau as he's got Butterfield up ahead of him. And that's also opened the door. Now he's got Joseph Grandy, Brian Lawson chasing him down from the rear.
Oh, we got a caution.
Looks like Jeff Sharp involved.
Oh, looked like they were trying to go 3 wide into turn 3 there. Yeah, but you got Boydell on the bottom, probably not realizing they were 3 wide, trying to swing out and push Falero into Sharp into the wall.
And just like that, we've got our 5th caution of the night. Verstraeten continues the lead. We've got now less than 10 laps to go. Butterfield has held on to that second spot. Massau 3rd, Templeton 4th, Grandy now up into the top 5 and 5th. So it looks like we'll go single file restart here, John, for our latest caution, another Mission 22 restart.
Verstraeten once again, he's off, and pulls about a car length and a half lead going into one here.
He'll separate. Butterfield to the inside, Massau up there to the outside as he looks to continue his way back up towards the lead.
Oh, we got one into the wall there. That's Massau.
So we'll take a look at this replay.
I'm guessing he hit that entrance. Yeah, he sure did. Right where that wall sticks out a little bit. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've had that happen here. You know, from running late models to UMP mods to these things. That thing has gotten a lot of drivers. You know, a lot of tracks you see the white tires in the corners, and sometimes guys hit those tires, and we always talk about the tires being undefeated. That wall is also undefeated down there.
So we were able to click away a couple more laps. We're down to 5 laps to go when we go back to green. Verstraeten's looking for another one of those great restarts he's had. But now Templeton does move up to third. What's he going to have to do to get up there to battle with Verstraeten?
Get a really good run in the line that Butterfield doesn't take. That's going to be it. If Butterfield was running the bottom, if Templeton can get to the top and get to his quarter panel somewhere down the backstretch, once they exit turn 2, he's got a shot at it, and then he's going to have to figure out what to do with Verstraeten when he gets there, because Verstraeten's been on a rail.
So another restart, another great restart for Verstraeten. Templeton will look to the outside of Butterfield as they go through 1 and 2. As Butterfield continues to run that low to middle line, that's going to open that outside line up for Templeton if he wants to take it.
Yeah, and Templeton's building momentum. There you go, up to the outside, got to that quarter panel.
So coming to 3 laps to go for Verstraeten, and Templeton will clear. He'll take over second at the line there, as now Grandy's looking to see how he can get past Butterfield.
And Salas has definitely continued his charge up front too. He's there in the top 5.
As you can see, Salas coming on now behind Grandy as Grandy looks to the inside of Butterfield as the caution comes out.
Ooh, that's going to change everything. Somebody is stuck in the wall over there in turn 2. Looks to be Dan McLaren, I think.
He gets up on the wall and stops.
Yeah, he's stuck in there. He needs somebody to come by and give him a little nudge.
All right, so we'll restart it again. It's going to be Verstraeten, Templeton, Butterfield, Grandy, Salas, your top 5.
This is going to be interesting, but here's the thing. If you're Templeton, you know where you're fast, up on the outside. Unfortunately, that's where Verstraeten has been. So he's going to have to do something that he hasn't done in a while, and that's either run the bottom or run the middle to get this pass done.
And then not to mention he'll have Butterfield behind him, trying to hold off Grandy and try to move up as well.
Yep.
So they'll come out of turn number 4. Green flag will wave. 2 laps to go as it's Verstraeten. Templeton will stay to the outside as he'll follow Trent through 1 and 2 as Butterfield falls back. He's now into the clutches of Grandy as he's looking
to the Salas. Look at Salas on the outside. Big run with 1 to go.
Verstraeten will lead coming out of turn number 2 as Templeton tries to run him down. Salas will make a move on Butterfield for 3rd. Coming out of turn number 4, it's going to be Verstraeten, your winner. Templeton 2nd, Butterfield 3rd.
Well, that's about as close as anybody's been to Verstraeten in a while there, but if he's able to hang on there, and Templeton, nice run there. He made an effort at it.
He gave it all he had there. 3 and 4, he finally jumped down there to the inside to try to make a go at it. Just not enough there as Verstraeten will pick up the feature win tonight. And we, of course, will talk to those top 3 finishers.
That's a fun race. That track never disappoints. You know, you always seem to get good multi-groove racing there, and I've yet to see any. I mean, I've run here in sprints now, street stocks to late models to super late models to UMP mods, big blocks. This track is just so much fun to drive.
Well, with that, three guys that definitely had a good time tonight will be our top three finishers. And John, you've got our third place finisher, Jason Butterfield.
I do, Jason. What a great race you had there, battling up towards the front all night. What more did you need to maybe get up a little bit further up on the podium?
Yeah, it was a good race. I was just trying to search for a bite somewhere else other than where, the leader was, and I just couldn't find nothing.
Yeah, it looked like you were one of the few that were actually running that middle, but it didn't look like it was a bad choice, to be honest with you. I saw a lot of guys making ground up back in the field using that same line. But that top was just really, really dominant. Looking back at it, though, the restarts, do you think you could have even maybe gotten something there done on a restart, maybe? Or was it just the leader had such an advantage, it just made it really difficult?
I could have probably made something happen, but instead of forcing a slider or something on a restart and getting into somebody else, better to play it safe and, kind of hold the line I was in.
Well, I also noticed the track changed a lot there. How much did you have to adjust to it in the car there to kind of keep up with the track? It did noticeably slick off throughout that race.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes. Like in the beginning, I could run lower, then up higher, and like I said, it was just hard for me to find something for me to bite to get around them.
Well, man, hey, you've with the field that is stellar as this one to put it on the podium, you got nothing to hang your head about. Who would you like to give a shout out to for a great finish here?
I got to think in Apex Industry, Alan Bokus at CJB, Brewer and Brewer, Garofalo's Imports, Otter Creek Lawnscape, the guys at Venom. They've been great with all this, and most importantly, my wife.
Well, yeah, most importantly, I got that situation too. You can't ever forget the wife. Well, congratulations, my friend. Are you going to run the big blocks, I presume, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to run it. And all these guys in this league here, they're all great drivers. It's if you can get a podium, it's.
Absolutely. Yep, that's what I was saying. You got nothing to hang your head about. Real quick, last question before I let you go. Running the big block. What do you expect over there in that race?
I think it's gonna be a lot of top for most of the race until the bottom does come in. They've just got so much horsepower. We're gonna see a lot of sliders for sure.
Fair enough, man. Well, good luck in that race, and hopefully we talk to you again here before the night's out.
Yep, thank you.
That's Jason Butterfield, our third place finisher. And Travis, who have you caught up with?
I've got our second place finisher, Brandon Templeton. Brandon, you start 10th, you end up second. You had a shot there at Trent. That last green flag restart there, what were you going to try to do to get that lead?
Well, what really needed to happen probably for it to make it happen is to get one heck of a run off of turn 2 and be able to slide him into turn 3 on that white flag lap. But it wasn't there to be. He ran a near perfect race, got out front. I think he started back there pretty close to me on the outside there. Felt like I followed him there for quite a while at the beginning and made it up there. Got little bumper cars that knocked me back a couple spots, but I was able to kind of calm back down and recover, and pretty happy with second place tonight.
That last restart, obviously both of you were fast and used that outside line to move up through the field. When the leader there at the end is running that same line as you, what's going through your mind when you know you're going to have to jump to the inside or try maybe not the preferred line for you or the track that night?
Well, you don't want to lose a spot. Definitely, that's on your mind. If the third place guy is going to take the high side and that's the preferred line, you could give up the lane. And the main thing is, give it a shot. You either lose it or at least hang on to second there at the last corner. So that's what I tried.
One last question there. We saw you start. You had a deep field for your heat race. You started towards the rear there. With the draw, how does that kind of set up your night if you're starting there at the third row of your heat race? And obviously that track position matters as you head towards that feature event.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do as far as practicing ahead of time for those race situations, getting 2-3 wide in a heat. So, that's is a little different than qualifying where you can practice for a day and feel confident you're going to start near the front. But, you take it as it comes, and you got to race what's in front of you, and that's what I did.
Well, great run tonight, Brandon. The floor is yours. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to tonight?
I got to thank Jay with Dirt Track Bank. First of all, the support he's given us has been amazing. We couldn't be here without him. Got Your Six Racing Network, the Joe Halter, everything he's done with, supporting veterans and everything has been amazing to be a part of and help him with. Hammer Down Racing, Joe, Kurt, and Brian, they know who they are. Everybody pretty much knows them in the league. We just help each other a ton. Extreme Images, Big C's Lawn Care, Maley's Makery. Everyone watching at home, you guys for streaming, you for broadcasting, everyone putting on the league, and everyone watching at home, thank you.
Well, that is our second place finisher tonight. It's Brandon Templeton. We'll see him later in the night as we'll throw it over to Victory Lane as John's got our winner, Trent Verstraeten.
I do, Trent. Man, I tell you, parking in Victory Lane right here at I-55. How does it feel?
It feels pretty good. It's been a while since I've been able to get a win in these modifieds. Yeah, and I honestly haven't ran this track much, so really kind of a surprise to me, but I'll take it.
Well, you had that top line rolling there, and I was surprised on how long that bottom line set in there. And tell me, how important do you think it was that you were the first one to go up there? So you were able to get your timing down, I think, before anybody else.
Yeah, I just wanted to really make sure, like you said, just to be the first one up there. It was nice being, starting up in starting fourth or sixth. So yeah, it was nice being up there. Some of those guys just decided to go to the down to the bottom. So yeah, I just stuck to the high side and I knew it would come in eventually.
Well, once you got the lead there, the thing that I think was to your biggest advantage from there on in was the fact that you were just getting great restarts. How did you? How do you feel like how you did on those? Were you changing up where you were firing, or was your car just launching that good and you could just do the same thing?
Yeah, I was just kind of trying not to do time it at the same time, to try to switch it up so they couldn't get a hang of what I was doing. Yeah, but those restarts definitely were helping me, especially with that last one with no Templeton was behind me. I'm glad I was able to get a good one.
Well, momentum's a big thing in the sports world. It's a big thing in racing. Now you've got a win here under your belt. You're going to come back, I assume, and run the big block here. What is your expectations for that race?
Kind of really the same thing. I'm sure the bottom will stick for quite a bit, and we should have some good side-by-side racing for a bit.
Well, fair enough, man. Hey, congratulations on a great run here. Who would you like to give a shout out for this win?
Just everyone Roger, you, and everyone behind the scenes at Coast to Coast for putting this on, and you and Travis for broadcasting.
Well, that's awesome, my friend, and thank you very much. And we'll look forward to seeing you here a little bit later in the big block, and hopefully we can talk to you again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, that's Trent Verstraeten, tonight's 358 winner here from I-55.
And with that, we will move on to our Super Dirt Car Big Block Modified here right at I-55 Speedway. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Big Blocks will be on the track, John, and we've got more exciting racing action here from the Show Me State. You're watching the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
Before they go fast and start to power slide, we salute you with the Big Blocks 4 wide. The crowd-pounding, earth-shaking, window-rattling beast of the Northeast. It's the Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
Yeah, Lucy Olson, talented sophomore.
welcome back to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We are back at I-55 Speedway as we have our Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds here on the track as they get ready to go through their evening portion as Thursday Night Thunder marches on. See Isaac Salas out there on the track getting some hot laps in here as our Tim as we get ready for tonight's racing action. Looking at our point standings here, it's week number 3 for the big blocks. Joseph Grandy, he's 2 for 2 the first 2 weeks, 2 wins. Kurt Schatzer second in points. Patrick Spangler third currently. As Brian Lawson and John Hine round out your top 5. Of course, John Hine, our in-race reporter usually. He's in the car here, so we won't have him up here in the booth at least full-time for this part of our Thursday Night Thunder. And with that, we're going to move on to our heat race number 1. Of course, heat race number 1 presented by Flatline Racing Bodies, and the starting lineup is going to look like this. Starting in the first spot is going to be Mark Gilbert alongside Cody Graham. Second row is G.J. Boydell next to John Hine. Fifth, Trent Verstraeten alongside Jacob Massau. And rounding out the row number 4, it's Isaac Salas alongside Jonathan Krupa. So Flatline Racing Bodies heat race number 1 is set here at I-55 Speedway. As we wait for the racing action here, deep fields here with 8 cars, 4 rows getting us started. Of course, we will conclude our evening with the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Tim Chapman Racing. That'll be 75 laps from Richmond Raceway. As we go green in heat race number 1, Mark Gilbert and Graham side by side going off in turn number 1. They're quickly 3 wide behind him as John Hines got that outside line. He'll make contact with the 61 of Massau as Hine will go to the back there as he's sideways in turn number 3. Out front there, nose to tail, as it's Gilbert, Graham, Boydell. So not the start John Hine was looking for here in heat race number 1 as the front 4 are single file. So 3 laps to go. Gilbert, Graham, Boydell remain there. Massau 4th, Salas up to 5th. They're mostly single file. And we saw as the heat races continued with the small block, once it slicked up, that's when things really got interesting. Especially as they moved through the field. As it's going to be Gilbert coming out of turn number 4 for the white flag. Gilbert down the backstretch for the final time. Boydell trying to make a move on Graham for second. He's going to run out of time as it's going to be Gilbert, your winner, Graham second, Boydell third, Massau fourth, and Salas in fifth. For Langton Mechanical, heat race number 2. Row number 1, it's going to be Stephen Bixler alongside Daniel Blau. Starting third, Dan McLaren next to Alex Pomeloy. Fifth, Steven Spies alongside Brandon Templeton. And rounding out the 4th row is Jeff Sharp alongside Dean Reynolds. So a Salty Dog team member there on the pole. Bixler, another good start here in the big blocks. As Pomeloy and McLaren, 2 guys that struggled with the small blocks, looking to turn their night around here with the big block. His green flag will wave. It's Bixler, Blau. Behind them, McLaren watches on from third. Pomeloy and Spies trying to move up through the field. As tightly packed throughout the field, entire field within a second of each other here as they continue to race closely. Bixler's got the lead here, a lap and a half in. Bixler continues to lead. McLaren trying to use that inside line now. As McLaren pulls up alongside Bixler down the backstretch. They're coming to the white flag here as McLaren powering through, making that inside line work here in our heat race number 2. They'll stay side by side down the backstretch. McLaren will pull ahead going off into turn number 3 and out of turn number 4. It's going to be the 88 of Dan McLaren. Stealing the win from Bixler. Third, Jeff Sharp. Dean Reynolds rounds out your top 4. Great run by Dan McLaren there as he was able to overtake the lead. And with that, we'll move on to heat race number 3 presented by Venom Racing. Starting lineup, it's Brian Lawson alongside Patrick Spangler. Bob DeGood third next to Kelly Wheeler. Fifth will be Aiden Young alongside Jason Butterfield, and starting 7th will be Jeffrey Kemper. So a 7-car field here for heat race number 3. Green flag waves. Great start for Spangler on the outside. He'll pull up in front of that 9 of Lawson. As Bob DeGood and Wheeler are side by side for that 3rd and 4th position. Behind them, you've got Aiden Young alongside Butterfield. They're trying to move up through the field. As we're 1 lap down, it's Spangler out front. Bob DeGood trying to make that line work as they get checked up behind him. Butterfield will go around. Lawson's now gotten to that left quarter panel of Spangler. Lawson trying to use that inside line just like the last heat as he's able to move up in front. Pull even with Spangler just like McLaren did. He'll take the lead here with 2 laps to go. White flag will wave this time. It'll be Brian Lawson on the inside getting that white flag. Spangler now on the offensive trying to get that lead back. He'll lose ground in 1 and 2 as it's the 9 of Brian Lawson coming out of turn number 4, and he will win our heat race here at I-55 as it's heat race number 3 presented by Venom Racing will come to an end. And it's going to be that 9 of Lawson, your winner. We'll now move on to heat race number 4, presented by Maurer Farm Management. Starting lineup will look like this. It's Kurt Schatzer alongside Gary Singlecow. Joseph Massau next to Randy Shreves. Jeff Flaro alongside Jeff Barker. And then rounding out the field, the 518 of Joseph Grandy. So Kurt Schatzer, Gary Singlecow, row number 1 will lead us back to green in our 4th and final heat here. As Kurt has a great run there on the inside. Oh, the 63 is Massau will go around. Flero Grandy will keep going as that separates the field. Kurt Schatzer will start to pull away as Single Cow runs second. He's trying to hold off Shreves and Grandy as Grandy's quickly moving up through the field. He'll take over that second spot going into turn number 3. Shreves all over the back of Single Cow now as he's got Barker to his inside. 3 wide coming out of 2. They'll pinch together. Around will go Barker as he'll save it going into turn number 3. Single Cow sends Grandy around. And it's going to be Barker that comes away with the second position. A crazy fourth and final heat here. Just like we saw with the small blocks, it got slick. And the aggression got turned up as Schatzer's loving this. He's got a 3-second lead out front as he's coming to the white flag this time by. Final lap for Kurt Schatzer as they're spread out around the field. Closest battle is Flero and Single Cow. That's a battle for third. But out of turn number 4, it's going to be Kurt Schatzer, your heat race number 4 winner. Barker second. And that will set your field for a majority of our 30-lap feature event. As we will move on to our Gambler Motorsports B main. 14 cars in this one. And they're going to line up like this. Row number 1, it's Isaac Salas alongside Steven Spies. Third, Kelly Wheeler alongside Jeff Flero. Row number 3, Trent Verstraeten next to Alex Pomelu. Row number 4, Jeffrey Kemper alongside Joseph Massau. 9th, Jonathan Krupa next to Brandon Templeton. Starting 11th, Jason Butterfield alongside Joseph Grandy. 13th, John Hine, and 14th, Daniel Blau. So a full field here for this Gambler Motorsports B main event. And we saw a wild B main last time. They will get rolling off here on the front stretch. Plenty of big names in this one here for the Coast to Coast Racing League. All of this will set the remaining spots for that 30-lap A main event tonight here from I-55 for the big blocks. As the lights are off, that Stephen King Foundation pace car. Green flag waves. Isaac Salas, Steven Spies will head off into turn number 1 as we're back to green here in our Gambler Motorsports B main event. Side by side behind the leaders for Verstraeten. Flero make contact. Now the 11 of Wheeler goes around. Big pile up there into the corner. See John Hine, Wheeler. John Hine's rough night continues. As out front, it's Isaac Salas. In front of Steven Spies. Flero runs 3rd. Templeton runs 4th. Joseph Grandy was also involved in that. As Isaac Salas continues to lead, you've got to go back to Flero and Templeton. That's a battle for 3rd as Kemper watches on. Templeton's able to separate now as you see Spies up ahead trying to use that outside line to track down Isaac Salas. Salas continues to lead just under a half a second right now. So the final lap is it's Isaac Salas out front. Leads Spies, Templeton, Flero, Kemper, Pomalu. After that first lap incident, it's been clean. As the checkered flag waves, Isaac Salas will win Gambler Motorsports B Main. Steven Spies, Templeton, Jeff Flero, and Jeffrey Kemper will round out your top 5. And with that, we'll move on to our Oswego Speedway intermission. As cars get ready to get back to racing action here at I-55 Speedway. And as the cars are on the track, we'll let you watch and listen. And we will be back next with your Super Dirt Car Series starting lineup for tonight's Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified Feature event. And with that, our Oswego Speedway intermission will come to a close. Templeton, Salas, Schatzer, Massau, Shreves will be our top 5 fastest there during that session. As we now look forward to our feature event, 30 laps, your Super Dirt Car Series starting lineup looks like this. Row number 1 is Mark Gilbert next to Dan McLaren. Starting row number 2 is Brian Lawson alongside Kurt Schatzer. Starting 5th, Cody Graham alongside Stephen Bixler. 7th, Patrick Spangler and Jeff Barker. 9th, GJ Boydell, and starting 10th, rounding out the top 10, Jeff Sharp. Starting 11th, it's Bob DeGood next to Gary Singlecow. 13th, Jacob Massau next to Dean Reynolds. 15th, Aiden Young alongside Randy Shreves. 17th, Isaac Salas next to Steven Spies. Rounding out the top 20, it's Brandon Templeton and Jeff Flero. Starting 21st, Jeffrey Kemper next to Alex Pomalu. 23rd, Jason Butterfield, and rounding out the field in 24th, Jonathan Krupa. So rounding out our big block modified division tonight, our 30-lap feature event. As the Stephen King Foundation pace car moves on off, it's Gilbert McLaren leading us to green here with the big block modifieds at I-55. McLaren Schatzer to the outside. You've got Gilbert and Lawson down on that inside line. As Graham and that 08. Oh, and it looks like Bob DeGood will go around in turn number 4. Looks like Bob and Masao get together right there at the entrance to the pit road. Of the night. So Gilbert, McLaren, Lawson, Schatzer will be your front 4. As we'll have our first Mission 22 restart of the Big Block Modified Division. Stephen King Foundation pace car pulls off. Gilbert leads us back to green. McLaren, Lawson jump to that outside as Gilbert down on the inside. We saw that outside line become the preferred line during the last feature event for the small blocks. As you see, Bob DeGood up ahead of the leaders. So there will be some lap traffic here shortly for this one. As we're 5 laps in, Gilbert continues to lead. McLaren using that outside line. And he'll pull up alongside Gilbert going off into turn number 3. McLaren has the momentum. He gets to that right rear of Gilbert as they cross the start-finish line. 25 laps to go, and the caution flag will wave. Gary Single Cow involved. Looks like a couple bumps there as he'll get thrown into that inside tire. But we're 5 laps into this 30-lap feature event. As they will get lined back up. Green flag waves. Gilbert jumps out front again. Lawson to the inside. McLaren to the outside. You've got Graham following Lawson up through that inside line as Lawson's quick to jump to that outside in front of McLaren. Scraping the wall. Oh, Lawson will go around. McLaren involved. Schatzer, Bixler, Shreve's big pile up in turns 1 and 2. It started back at the entrance of turn number 1. As Lawson McLaren clipped that wall, checked him up, and that was the chain reaction that turned into much, much more. So we'll have our third Mission 22 restart of the night. Green flag waves. Gilbert's able to jump out to the lead again. Graham now runs second. Spangler third. Boydell fourth. Jeff Sharp round out your top 5 as the latest caution really shook up this field. Spangler's quickly to move into that second spot as he has cleared Graham and left him behind. Now Graham is trying to fight off Boydell and Sharp as we have 20 laps to go. Up front, Spangler makes a move on Gilbert to the outside for the lead. 19 laps to go. Gilbert has led thus far, and he'll have the lead again as he'll hold off Spangler as the caution flag waves. Looks like G.J. Boydell involved in this one. Back to green as Gilbert in the lead. Spangler runs second, Graham third, Sharp fourth, Massau now in fifth. Caution flags really separate this field out here as Spangler continues to try to chase down the leader of Gilbert. Gilbert runs low to middle line through the corner. Spangler up there against the wall. That's the line that paid off in our small blocks as our fifth caution flag will wave. Looks like Brandon Templeton and G.J. Boydell involved. As they make contact, going to the same spot of the track. Tends not to work out. So we'll have our 5th Mission 22 restart of the night here in the big blocks. As we get ready to go back to green, we've got 15 laps to go once that green flag waves, which it does now. Good restart for Spangler there from the 2nd spot all over the back of the 76. He'll clip the wall, but it doesn't slow down his momentum as he continues to chase down Gilbert for the lead. Back in the pack, you got Randy Shreves. He's trying to battle his way back up through the field. He's using that outside line. Currently 4 cars off the lead lap. As Gilbert leads, Spangler has a freight train behind him with Graham, Sharp, and Massow, as the caution flag will wave once again. This time Jonathan Krupa involved. Looks like he slid just up there into the back of Steven Spies and around Krupa went. As we have 18 laps complete, 12 laps to go, a dirty dozen left here in our big block modified. So we'll have our 6th Mission 22 restart. The Stephen King Foundation pace cars back out there on the track. Lights are off that Stephen King Foundation pace car, so that means we will go back to green here next. As the green flag waves, good start for Gilbert there. He's able to separate from Spangler. Graham is in that 3rd spot. He's under heat quickly from Jeff Sharp. As Graham and Sharp continue to battle for that 3rd spot. It's now Pomalu to the inside of Massow. That's a battle for the 5th spot, as Spangler has separated from this section of the field as he tries to chase down Gilbert up ahead. Sharp to the inside of Graham. That's a battle for 3rd, as now Spangler has caught up to Gilbert. 10 laps to go, and Spangler is caught up to the back of that 76 as he'll try to make a move for the lead. Caution flag will wave for the 7th time. GJ Boydell a part of this latest caution. Who is it? The Sharp and Kemper up ahead of him. Nowhere for Boydell to go. Krupa and Single Cow end up sliding into the back of that caution. As we'll go under caution again. As Gilbert will lead us back to green. Spangler looks like he's looking for a longer green flag run here for a chance at making a move on Gilbert. As we have 8 laps to go, Gilbert leads us back to green. Graham all over the back of that 39 of Spangler. Sharp as well. At your front 4 is their single file here after this restart. Gilbert continues to lead as Spangler, Graham, Sharp try to chase him down. caution flag waves again. This time looks like Alex Pomelu is out. Pomelu up there against that wall. Ooh, just too high. Oh, Aiden Young couldn't get it checked up. Big wreck for Pomelu there. And that is our 8th caution now here in the Big Block Modifieds. As we get ready to go back. So Gilbert will continue to try to hold off Spangler here. As that green flag will wave, another Mission 22 restart. We come back to life. Gilbert leads. 6 laps to go now here at I-55. Gilbert of Venom Racing leads as Spangler tries to track him down. Graham hanging tough there in 3rd. As Spangler now has a run, he's about a line up from Gilbert. Will ride right off his left rear as they go through 3 and 4. Gilbert will close the door. 4 laps to go as Spangler continues to work on that leader. Gilbert closed the door coming out of turn 4 last time. We'll see if he does the same here. He doesn't. Spangler's able to get up alongside of him. 3 laps to go now as Patrick Spangler's now alongside the leader down the backstretch. Gilbert will get a little sideways coming out of turn number 4. That momentum will give the lead to Spangler as now Graham works on that 76. Randy Shreve's also up there into the top 5 as well. White flag flies for Patrick Spangler. Shreves will move up into that 3rd spot as now he works around the outside of Gilbert. Spangler will come out of turn number 4. He will win the feature event. 2nd will go to Gilbert, just edging Randy Shreves. So Patrick Spangler, Mark Gilbert, Randy Shreves will be our podium for our Big Block Modifieds. We'll get them parked and we will talk to them here shortly. As we wait for our podium finishers, a reminder, we will head off to our NASCAR Xfinity Series next. Our Tim Chapman NASCAR Xfinity Series will take on Richmond Raceway, 75 laps. Of course, John Hine will join us in the booth for that one. But first, let's talk to our 3rd place finisher. It's Randy Shreves. Randy, you start 16th, you battle your way up to 3rd. Walk us through your night there in the big block.
Man, my heart's still pounding after that one. I just kind of, on the last 5-6 laps, man, I just gave it my all there at the end, just flooring it on the top and trying to make it stick. And I passed quite a few cars there at the end, and it was a tough race all night. It was a slick track. Everybody was all over the place, and just had to avoid trouble and be there at the end. And
when you're up there on that outside, we saw some guys trying to close the door on that. Saw a couple times you got close to that outside wall, and of course it's just treacherous up there. When it's that point of the race, were you just giving it all you had, not caring? We heard with the small blocks, guys were afraid to change their lanes because they might lose a position. The spot you were in, were you just trying to get as far ahead as you could and not really worry about the falling back of their consequences?
Yeah, there at the end, man, I don't know, for a split second, thought I could win that thing, and I don't know, I was maybe a lap or two short. I probably could have if maybe I just had a couple more laps, man. That thing was ripping at the end.
We saw Patrick struggle with all the restarts to try to get a run on Gilbert. He was almost a lap too short every time a caution would wave. Coming back from 16th, how were you picking your way up through the field?
Mainly just trying to avoid all the incidents and just trying to just keep my car straight, keep it out of the slick, or just throttle it through the slick. Just being cautious, pretty much.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you race up through there and a good run to the third spot. Whose sponsors would you like to thank there, Randy?
I definitely want to thank my team, LGR Motorsports, Alex Berger on ABR Setup Shop, Coulter West at Redline Race Design, One Waste Foundation, Wraps and Stitches, KSB Builders, Finish Line Repair, Coast to Coast for always putting on this awesome league. You guys for the broadcast, and everybody for watching.
Well, great run, Randy. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, we'll see you.
That's Randy Shreves, your third place finisher tonight. Next up, our second place finisher, Mark Gilbert. Mark, you had the car up front a majority of the race. The battle there with Spangler went all night long. What was it that gave him the advantage there late?
He was just fast. I probably shouldn't have given up the middle lane when I went to the bottom, but yeah, all in all, it was a good night for me, so I'll take it. Congrats to Pat. He was fast.
We saw Patrick and others using that outside line. Really, you were committed to that middle to low side. Was that just where you prefer to be, or your car preferred? Was there a reason maybe you didn't want to go up there to the outside that a lot of others were using?
Yeah, I get a little nervous up there by the wall and here at Peevely. I mean, it's just it's treacherous up there. One mistake and that's it.
Well, it was a great run. You come home second tonight. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, actually, I spent all week building a whole new sim racing rig, so I want to thank RCP Cockpits for that, and Eric and the guys over there. They helped me out a bunch this week getting this thing built.
Well, great run, Mark. We look forward to speaking with you again.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
That's Mark Gilbert, your second place finisher tonight. Now joining us from Victory Lane, it's Patrick Spangler. Patrick, we watched you all night long try to get up to Gilbert, try to make the pass. Then a caution would come out, probably a lap too early for you. Walk us through your night and your drive to the front.
Yeah, it was the almost like exact replay of Monday night, where it's just a caution every 3 laps and run second the entire race. And then the only thing different on Monday was that the track went away, but I thought Gilbert was going to move to the middle after I got beside him a couple times, but then he stuck to the bottom, and I just needed that green flag run to get around him.
Knowing the momentum you had on the outside, did you feel like if you had a longer green flag run, you were going to be able to make and complete that pass on him?
As long as he didn't move up yet, because I think at the one point we came out, or the caution came out, and we were like 0.068 was the difference in me having the lead at the start-finish line. So I knew if he stayed down to the bottom and I could just keep making that middle roll, it would work out.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you race up towards the front tonight. Any sponsors you want to give a shout-out to, Patrick?
Yeah, just you for putting on the awesome broadcast each week. Rod for on the league, Triangles Racing, Dan Uncle back home watching, and I believe that's it.
Well, congratulations, Patrick. That is your winner here in the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified Division. It's the 39 of Patrick Spangler. He will win tonight here at I-55. And with that, we will take a break, our final break of the evening. When we come back, we'll have the Tim Chapman Racing NASCAR Xfinity Series coming at you live from Richmond Raceway. You're watching Coast to Coast Racing Network.
Before they go fast and start the power slide, we salute you with the big blocks 4 wide, the crowd pounding, earth shaking, window rattling feast on the Northeast. It's the big block modified Super Dirt Car Series.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
Lucy Olson, talented sophomore.
Welcome back to the Coast to Coast Racing League Network. We are at Richmond Raceway for our Tim Chapman Racing NASCAR Xfinity Series as our Tim Chapman pre-race show gets started. We'll take a look at those standings here shortly for this NASCAR Xfinity Series. But John, we've called quite a few races here at Richmond, and it normally is a pretty big, open, short track that allows for a lot of green flag racing.
It does. It's a little tricky on the start. You got to get those tires up to temperature, and this track does invite you to overdrive the corners just a little bit. So, the races that we've called, they're a little more experienced in those fields than what we normally have, what we have here. But these guys have come such a long way since they started running on the asphalt here, and I think we'll see a good one here tonight.
Should be a good one indeed. While we were watching the Between the Sessions, John, I don't know if you tuned in. I was watching TV over the weekend, and I saw Villanova women's basketball in the Sweet 16, and knowing that Lucy Olson was on the team, I stopped. It made me pause and watch a little bit of it. They lost to Miami over the weekend, but that was cool seeing someone from the Coast to Coast Racing League family on TV.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched a couple of the Big East tournament games with her, and it was really cool. So, do want to give a shout out to to Lucy, and that it was really cool to see her out there.
And with that, we're gonna head right into our qualifying session here, as they will make their laps out on the track here, as we'll get some data on best times as they take out onto the track. It looks like Kyle Moonan's one of the first cars out there. Here at Richmond, John, how important is it to get some track position here early, especially we know how that fuel mileage can come into play, or cautions can shake things up as well.
Or even tire wear. You don't want to use up your stuff trying to come up through the field. So I would say you really want to be towards the front here. First of all, you're well, that's going to probably lower the risk a little bit of any kind of contact or incident. And like I said, having to work your car to try to get up through the field here. So you want to get around here cleanly, get a solid lap and be up towards the front. And if you can do that, that's check one. That's the first check mark of probably your to-do list to get to the end here and get a good finish out of it.
Well, I'm looking at it here early. Aiden Young, who's someone that's gotten very good results in this series, he'll shoot to the top of the charts, just edging out Kyle Moonen. As Cody Graham, also a nice lap put down there, just outside the top two in third.
Yeah, Aiden picked up a late model win. I think it was Friday night. I think a 200 lapper. We ran. I don't even remember where we ran it at. All New Smyrna, I think we were. So he's an accomplished asphalt racer. Actually, when he joined Gambler, he was actually more of an asphalt guy at the time, and he was picking the dirt up, and he picked the dirt up quite well, actually.
He's someone that definitely doesn't surprise anyone when he runs well, whether it's on asphalt or dirt.
Yeah, or road racing. The kid can get around iRacing tracks quite well.
So looking here, it looks like we've got about 25 cars here tonight here at Richmond. It's still Aiden Young out front. Watch Dan McLaren. He's getting up to speed, yet to make his first lap. Looks like Isaac Salas maybe didn't get the lap he was looking for. Currently 21st quick.
Yeah, keep your eye on Dan McLaren. He's a guy that could possibly shoot up and make some noise here.
Terry Landis out there as well. Just a handful of cars left. As right now, it is Aiden Young with the quick time. It's Terry Landis, 24th quick.
And McLaren jumped up to the top 5 there.
That will complete his run as he cools down around the track here.
Well, now fifth here. And Bob White, that's another guy. He, in our road racing, our Roadrunners League here, Bob is the man. His win percentage, let's put it this way. If you're a baseball GM and you got a guy that hits about 950, you're signing him, right?
Yes, I would make that assumption.
Yeah, that's about Bob's winning percentage over there in the Roadrunners. So he knows how to get things done and then knows how to run up front and close things out too. And Kyle is also one of those guys that's good on almost every surface we have here. He obviously, a lot of people have seen what he can do on Monday nights, and he's quite fast here also on the asphalt.
With baseball season starting,
opening day.
I was gonna say you and the Cardinals now. We'll get some baseball.
Today didn't start well. I only saw the first part of it, but man, we gave up 3 runs in the first inning.
I was just looking. It looks like y'all gave up some runs today, John.
Yes, we did.
Well, you know what they say. Most teams don't start their best pitchers day one.
Yeah, our announcers were also making all kinds of excuses for it. They're like, well, this was the best batting team in the majors last year and all these other things. I'm like, man, we're getting our butts kicked. You can't, put lipstick on that pig. It's still ugly.
Yeah, my Tigers lost 0-4, so we'll see how that goes throughout the year. As it looks like Quick Time's going to go to Aiden Young here. Kyle Moon in second, Bob Light third, Zach Chapman fourth, Dan McLaren fifth. Looking at those times, John, I don't think any of those names are surprises in the top 5.
No, they're really not. And you expect to see those names up front pretty much the whole race unless something happens here. Pit strategy can always get things shuffled up. Just kind of losing the car here. There's going to be 2 spots here that are going to give guys trouble, and that's going to be entering the corners. Then getting out of turn 2, it is real easy to lose the back end coming out of turn 2. So guys are going to have to pay attention to that. But with that said, I will go over the starting lineup here. On the pole, like you said, is going to be Aiden Young. To his outside will be Kyle Moon, and Bob Light and Zach Chapman are going to occupy row number 2, and row number 3 it'll be Dan McLaren and John Mateo. Row number 4 is going to be Lewis Meglin and Colin Johnston. Brennan Lacey and Cody Graham will round out your top 10. Starting in 11th will be Brandon Ishikanian. Next to him will be Neil Strauser starting 12th. Peter Thompson and Dwayne Simmons will occupy row number 7. And row number 8 will be Tim Chapman. Next to him will be Andrew Smith. Row number 9 is going to be Jeremy Tate and Brian Lawson. Mark Gilbert and Jack Clevenger will round out the top 20. Starting 21st will be Jacob Busher, and next to him will be Terry Landis. And the 12th row will be Isaac Salas and Jeff Kemper. And rounding out your field, that's going to be Joe Canellis. So we got a nice field of cars here. Looks like a lovely day here for iRacing. And, man, I'm ready to go.
Looks like a lovely day, a lovely crowd as well here at the Richmond Raceway. As it's our third and final program of Thursday Night Thunder here on the Coast to Coast Racing League. And you've got to look at those guys up front. I think we've seen Aiden Young. I think we've called a race here that he's won at Richmond.
Yeah.
Really, any of those top 5, we know how cautions and fuel mileage can come into play. But it seems like at least here on Thursday nights, it plays out where the fastest car ends up towards the front there at the end eventually in some way or some fashion.
Yeah, and I know NASCAR runs during the day here, and, just looking around at this track, races here should be run at night. But I think even now it'll probably be a little chilly to run it at night. You can't count on the weather. But the other thing about this track that I don't know why, Travis, and I don't know, maybe you can give me a logical reason, but man, I like it when they went back to the old school and the red and white on the outside wall. I just think that's cool, but it just seems so trivial, and why would you notice or anything like that?
Nope, I completely agree with you, and I don't know if you noticed, but North Wilkesboro currently has that old red and white Winston paint scheme.
They do, and they didn't touch that surface. That is going to be really cool to see, because if you look at the pictures I've seen, they've repaved pit road, they've repaved everything else, but they have left that surface alone.
They paved all of the infield, and that was the funny part. I don't know if you saw the test, but I think everyone that tested in that was used to the lack of grip that surface had, especially at the tracks they race at normally in the Cup Series now.
Yeah, that All-Star race is going to be must-see TV for sure.
My prediction, John, is with Auto Club under construction, I think North Wilkesboro is a points race next year.
I won't be a bit surprised.
But we're used to, we've been to North Wilkesboro here on iRacing, but tonight we are at Richmond as Aiden Young, Kyle Moonen lead us to green 75 laps here in the Tim Chapman NASCAR Xfinity Series, and they'll go into that first corner side by side.
They do, and it looks like everybody's going to get through turn 1 clean as they thunder down the backstretch and now going into turn 3.
Moonen will pull ahead. Aiden Young fights back on the inside. Talking about conserving your tires, John, here early, if you're racing side by side, what's kind of the worst position you could put yourself in if you're trying to conserve tires?
On that inside, not being able to swing out, because coming out of these corners, it's nice to swing out towards the wall. And if you don't do that, you're putting the power down while you have wheel cranked into the car, and that's just going to cause you to eat up your right front. And if the car is getting loose when you're doing that, you're going to start eating up the right rear. So you want to have be clear. You want to hear that spotter going clear, 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 so you can move around on the track a little bit, and that's the way to save tires.
So Moonen will fall into second. Aiden Young's able to take over. They'll trade spots here through 3 and 4, as Moonen won't have a move there on the exit of the corner. And very quickly, that front 10 cars has turned into a freight train of single file racing down there on the inside.
Yeah, good time just to kind of settle in here a little bit and, get the feel for your car and what it's going to do under race conditions. If you didn't get the qualifying spot you wanted, but you've got some pace, and, now's the time to be trying to pick these guys off one by one and come up through the field.
Currently watching a battle back there with Andrew Smith, Peter Thompson, Lawson, and Chapman all right there. A little 4, now 5-car battle with Isaac Salas getting in there. And John, we talk about how this asphalt racing to the Coast to Coast League is newer here, but it's amazing to me how quickly this series has turned into, at least the action on the track, turned into the same tendencies of those other leagues that we've called that have been around for years.
Yeah, and the thing I think that has helped too, these guys all know each other. They know each other from dirt. And, there was a process when we started going, because, there's some guys that I know that you couldn't really trust. You had to kind of be a little leery to be around on dirt. But all of a sudden, you get around them on asphalt, and it's like, oh, they'll take me to the front, and you can trust them. Or vice versa, guys that you trusted on the dirt, you get around them here, and it's like, whoa, that you got to give them extra room now. Once they kind of get that stuff all figured out, plus figure out how they approach their races and their driving style, learning how to back the corners up, not over driving corners. As that process is played out, oh my gosh, have we not gotten some good racing out of it?
That we have, as Aiden Young's pulled out to about a 0.7 of a second lead over Moonen here early. The front 11 are single file, somewhat of a separation back to the 12th place car. And then you go back in the field, really starting with Neil Strasser. There's some very tight racing from 14th on back. As Lawson having some issues currently, he's fallen back to the 20th spot. Is now the 8 of Jeremy Tate trying to make a move on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys tight racing up here through the pack. Like you said, I'm looking a lot of guys nose to tail here. And that's not going to last for too long, because some guys are good at not pushing too far, and their tires will keep the good on them a little longer. And once these guys start sliding around and some guys kind of knock that good off, you're going to see them start doubling up and having opportunities to pass.
John, Richmond, you mentioned it in pre-race. Richmond, whenever it is a night race, it always looks weird to me, because I agree it should be a night race. And then also the fall night race, I remember as a kid, the couple times I got to watch it was always really exciting, but I missed a lot of them because it used to fall on World of 100 weekend.
Uh-oh. Well, yeah, of course, World 100's got to take priority. Absolutely.
Definitely. I remember as a kid, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old before I watched the first Richmond night race. And it was I think it was a classic Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon battle. And it just blew my mind of a night race like that and being able to watch it. So always a Always a cool track. And I feel like when they first, back in the 90s when it was newer pavement, they used to be able to do some things out there on the track, especially with the cars they had back then.
Yeah, I personally would like to see them, and I know, I mean, we're talking millions upon millions of dollars to do it, but boy, I'd like to see them reconfigure it back to the original, original Richmond that like you said, you saw Martin and Earnhardt and, and Waltrip and those guys, because, some of the old throwback races that I've seen on that old track, holy cow, those were exciting to watch.
There's a great Kyle Petty Wood Brothers win.
Yes.
With some action there at Richmond.
He entered a corner, fourth, came out first?
Yep. I think Daryl and Dale had enough of each other.
That would be about it. But there was lots of finishes like that on there. But this track we're on now with these guys, and these guys out here will be able to contest now. It's still got its challenges here. How it swings out here and everything else. And I'll tell you, it blows my mind, too, just how close to the center of Richmond this track actually is, too.
Yeah, it's in the Metropolitan, which is not the case for a lot of NASCAR tracks.
Well, I say that because a lot of tracks now, the land is more valuable than the tracks. That's why I was kind of saying that. But it looks like this track is safe to remain for a while.
Well, and you look at Auto Club sells for $500 million.
Yes.
And that's hard to say no to.
Yeah. Sure would be.
Watching the 5 car of Isaac Salas right now, he's up 10 spots to 13th. Talking about drivers that have improved since the beginning of this, John, he is definitely one of them. I know first few races we called with him, he had actually absolutely no hope and no expectations going into this, and he's turned into a good little racer here that always ends up towards the top 10 towards the end of this.
Yeah, and this is where I like to sound like that old man, get off my lawn, but, he and Aiden and these kids pick this stuff up so quick, and it's just not fair.
Younger John with iRacing would have been a demon.
Oh, Steven Spies and I talk about that all the time. If we had this when we were a kid, number one, we would have never had girlfriends. That goes first of all. Never would have had a social life. Probably would have come home from school, never left our room. And if you hear a rumble in the background, I have a thunderstorm moving through real quick. I just felt it in my rig. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up or not, but just for the record.
Yeah, I remember. I still have NASCAR Racing 2003, so.
Well, I go back to the original IndyCar. And trying to steer on a mouse and, everything's pixelated. So, yeah, if I had all this stuff that I have now, girls would have been an afterthought. Homework would have been an afterthought, man. There'd have just been no saving me. There would have had to be some kind of intervention at some point.
Well, you might still get to that level, John.
Well, I do think, some points. I think once I'm retired and, my wife's probably going to want to do things, having an empty nest. I'm like, no, I got time to iRace, hitting all the matinees, running the retreads. Yeah, that's where the intervention will probably come.
At some point, you'll have to switch over to that Salty Dogs racing team as well.
Well, I'm still mad I've never gotten to be an honorary dog like Blake Chapman, especially in those Enduros. I miss those Enduros. Those were so much fun, and I'm sure that we'll do more in the future and whatnot, but oh my God, do I miss those.
You know where I stand on those. But
I know right where you stand on those.
Up front, John, Moon and Light have chased down Aiden Young. We
got 24. One going around. Graham is into the wall in one.
And the caution will wave.
He gets T-boned by the 79 there. Looks like maybe contacts between he and Lacey. Oh, Lacey tried to move up behind him and I think just misjudged it. It's a tough break for Cody, but good news for him. There are faster pairs here.
Oh, yep, just contact there on the entrance to the corner.
Yeah, and something like that can happen if Cody's lifted and Lacey thought he was going to drive it in a little deeper, and he moves up. And I mean, it's still, Lacey's fault, but it's just still one of those racing deals,
Well, and I was just about to ask you when you thought some green flag pit stops could occur, and then the caution comes out, and it looks like that's going to bring the field down.
Yeah, this is a perfect time. It's 25 laps, 75. You break it into stints here. Absolutely perfect time. And a lot of that also had to come with that good knocking off. That becomes easy to adjust people. To have to try to figure out how guys are driving because they're adjusting on the fly. How they went into turn one maybe a lap or two ago may not be the same as they're going in a lap or two later because all of a sudden their tires are falling off. They've got to back the corner up because the car's not turning. There's a lot on your plate when you're driving these things.
So we were watching the battle off pit road. It's Aiden Young-Moonen come out, but it looks like Bob Light may have had some issues there, John. He'll fall from 3rd to 6th.
I wonder if some of these guys maybe only took 2 tires and Bob took 4 maybe. I don't know. Maybe he overshot his pit and more thunder. And maybe he had to back up here. I'm going to take a look here and see maybe what happened to him.
So as John looks at that, it's Aiden Young, Kyle Moonen going to restart. Our first Mission 22 restart of the night here for the Tim Chapman NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Should probably look at some point, look under my VR and look at my radar, make sure I don't have any tornadoes coming. But I am in my rig. It is 80-20. I could probably survive anything.
I think so. Just keep the Oculus on and see how it rides out.
I don't know why Bob fell. Maybe some of those guys behind him. I'm going to go back here and look at it because it looked like he took 4 tires, as did the leaders. Dan McLaren sped around him, and I don't know. I think he's going to have to ask his pit crew why they're slow. Yeah, they all jacked up on both sides.
Also, we have the Coast to Coast Racing League weather station look, John. It looks like you have a couple cells, nothing major, just a little yellow. So nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's just I can feel the ground shake with a couple of the thunder boomers that are happening, which is fine. Like I said, I'm in a rig now. Granted, if I feel a little safer if I have one of those rigs with seat belts, but I don't have that.
You should put your old open face helmet back on. So, looking at how we'll restart here, Aiden Young-Moonen in your front row. You have McLaren Mateo, row number 2, and then Zach Chapman and Bob Light. As the Stephen King Foundation pace car turns off those lights, that means we'll go back to green this time by.
Thinking, I wonder if Roger would give me extra pay for the broadcast as hazard pay for roughing a storm out.
I think I know the answer to that as we go back to green.
I definitely know the answer to it.
You should definitely run that past him, though. McLaren making an aggressive move to the inside.
Oh, very aggressive. And there's contact. Moonen was trying to pin him down.
So that'll move McLaren into second. Chapman will also take advantage of it, as he had pulled up alongside Moon, and now he'll fall back behind the 24.
Yeah, that was a uber aggressive move there for McLaren, and that paid off. And he's getting close to Aiden Young's back bumper here, so he looks like he's a little faster than the leader at this point.
Currently watching Bob Light trying to move back up. He's fallen back into that 7th spot. Behind him, you have Isaac Salas and Andrew Smith side by side. Oh, and someone goes around in turn 1. Looks like Brandon Ishkanyan. And that's exactly who it was as our second caution of the night comes out.
Oh, looked like Sigil Cow got loose going into the corner. I saw that car kind of swerve a little bit, and then it walked up the hill and got into Ish there. And a tough break for Ish Canyon there. Sigil Cow's had a eventful night. Or I don't think that was Sigil Cow. I think that was Simmons. I'm used to seeing that 25 in red.
Yeah, it was Simmons. When you said that,
Yeah.
I was just going with it.
Yeah, my apologies to Gary. I'm just used to red 25 is, you know, and there you go for marketing. I see a red 25, I think of either Tim Richmond or Sigil Cow. That's pretty good company. But yeah, that was Dwayne Simmons.
I was going to say, Gary should be proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a compliment. And that's, you know, you and I have had conversations both on air and off air about the whole branding thing. You know, you keep colors and people get accustomed, and there's value in that. I mean, there's a reason why even now, long after his retirement, Petty Blue is still on those cars of quite a few times during the season. And Petty Blue is an actual color now. I mean, there's a big reason for that.
I know. I always it's weird now. Whenever the 43 gets the Petty Blue on it now, which is now more rare than ever.
Yes.
It always just grabs your attention.
Absolutely, and even Austin Dillon with that number 3, that font. When you see that 3, you know, no disrespect to Austin, but you know, it's tough not to think about Dale. You know, when you see it. So, you know, even the Joe Gibbs car, that 18. You know, every time I see it, I think of Dale Jarrett or Kyle Busch now. But the 18, well, granted, the 18 is not on the track currently, but I'm just saying that, you know, if I see it, those are the two names that'll come to mind right away.
Speaking of, it's extremely weird when Interstate Batteries is on a car other than the 18 car.
I know. There was a picture I saw of Denny Hamlin with an Interstate Batteries uniform on, and man, it looked like he was wearing a Halloween costume, not a race. I mean, you're right, just did not look right.
So 36 laps in. Aiden Young continues to lead. McLaren up to second.
And but speaking of numbers in that, how cool is it? Is it for the All-Star race that they're going to let Harvick run that 29 for that race only, not the 4? How cool is that?
I'm all for it. But
me too, 100%.
It is weird. I was talking to Adam Johnson, who I call races with.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how weird it is that I remember Harvick coming in for Dale, and now he's retiring, and that makes me. I feel like I'm getting closer to you and Andy each day, John.
Well, don't lump me with Andy. Andy, I'm behind Andy quite a ways. I'm not saying Andy's old, but, you know, he was there for the first Bedrock 500, you know, and watched Fred and Wilma and hung out with them in the I think, one of the booths.
He saw the Daytona 500 with Lee Petty winning at the line.
Yeah, I mean, he was around when the Dead Sea was still 6, so don't put me in with him.
My bad. No, sorry about that.
In other news, C2C has lost a main sponsor. Oh.
Well, they're lined up, John.
Yes, they are. Bail me out.
2 by 2. We're good here. We're holding on. We did have some guys back at the back make some pit stops, but the front 20 are all on the same set here as we work lap 37. Green flag waves, another Mission 22 restart for Aiden Young. He shoots out like a cannon as it's McLaren, Chapman, and Moonen, that top 4 up front.
Oh, Landis overdrives the corner, dirt tracks it through the corner. What a save. Oh, I don't know if that's one you can get on a replay, but that is worth taking a look at. That was incredible.
We can do anything we want.
Yeah, get Landis going into turn 1 on that restart. That, I'm telling you, he could be in that situation 100 times, and that will be the only time he saves it. The next 99, he loses it. That was just utterly just amazing.
Here's the restart, and there's the 161 through the corner. Well, I've got to say, your Gambler Motorsports teammate Kemper there gave him a nice little bit of extra room for him to complete it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Kemper started holding his breath real quick.
And just like Fox, while we looked at that replay, Aiden Young was passed by McLaren and the 24 of Moonen.
Yeah, Aiden will settle back in here, and this race has still got quite a ways to go here. We still have another round of pit stops too to have to go through.
I don't know if you've seen the social media commentary of Fox's coverage this year, John.
I have.
But I have to say, being in the position I am here on a couple nights a week, you know what? Give the producers a little leash here. It's harder than it looks.
Yes. Yeah, all those keyboard warriors, and not even the production of everything there. And those guys, it just cracks me up because, they have no idea what the people down in the trucks are doing. But even being in the booth is not always the easiest thing to do.
The part that gets me is just how they have, like, at least two people talking in their ears while they're trying to talk.
Well, I broadcast now on Saturday nights in another league, and I have a producer in my ear for that. And then the last couple of weeks, and that's why I've been MIA for the Pro Dirt Late Model Series, I've been doing a European GT3 series where I also have somebody in my ear with a Scottish accent. But it's a lot different when you're mid-sentence and somebody starts talking in your ear. To keep that thought and go through that is really hard to do.
I just I struggle some nights just with you in my ear.
Yeah, well, you think of the times I've been in the car and driving and stuff like that, and it's a wonder that I haven't been protested for running people over, running my mouth, too much on a broadcast, but it's all a little bit more difficult than what it looks like, and it sure is fun though when it all comes together, and doing this and being up here in the booth is fun. It truly is, but like you said, it can be a challenge at times here, but when we got good racing like we do now, like the battle here for second, it looks like Aiden's starting to put pressure on the 24 of Moonen. Gives us a lot of exciting things to talk about.
We were looking at that Young Gun Creations drone shot and saw the separation. Really, the front three are tight, and then you have to go back in the pack a little ways to about John Mateo, Isaac Salas, Andrew Smith before you have some tight racing as well, as Aiden's looking to the inside of Moonen, and Moonen really moves over and gives him plenty of room if he wants to try to take that over.
Yeah, and that's a smart move by Kyle. Kyle probably senses that Aiden's a little quicker than him. This is the difference between asphalt and dirt racing. Dirt racing, you figure out a way around me. But here, it's like, all right, I don't want to use my stuff. I want, have some good tires under me at the end of this. Sometimes you got to let a guy go and see if you can't get him back later. Let him burn his tires up racing hard.
I say that as Moonen continues to hold on to that position. Aiden Young struggling using that inside line to complete.
Well, he can't use, because he can't use the whole track. And I talked about this earlier. On these corner exits, to go fast, you want to slide the car out to the wall. Well, Aiden's having to keep, contact. Aiden's having to keep his wheel turned, and it's heating his tires up. Eventually, Aiden's going to have to yield and probably get those tires under control and just let Moonen have the spot back if he can't complete the pass here in the next lap or two.
Could you talk us, obviously the exit of turn 4 and the exit of turn 2 very different visually, but could you kind of walk us through how even the entrance of the corner plays into those two different corner exits?
Yeah, turn 4, when you come out of it, first of all, you got I guess I call it a dog leg, but kind of a little bit of a tri-oval through the straightaway. So when you swing out, you're actually getting, we got a caution.
Looks like Terry Landis involved in this one.
Oh, looked like Kemper tags the wall, bounces off the wall, and it bounces right into Terry.
With that, it looks like we'll have our second round of pit stops, and with how these played out, John, it's going to play perfectly with cautions.
A bend in this front stretch here. You're carrying a lot more speed into turn 1 than what you will in turn 3. But you can also let the car drift out a little bit more, so you don't have to put as much wheel to turn in. The wall doesn't come up as quick. Now, once you carry all that speed in, if you overdrive it, then you go up the track real easy. It's a lot easier to overdrive turn 1. Now, coming off of turn 2, that wall comes out in a hurry. It is so easy to push and get a push coming off of turn 2. And you saw it right there with Jeff Kemper. And you're not carrying quite the speed into turn 3, so turn 3 is not a turn that you very easily overdrive. So yeah, visually different, but you definitely, speed wise, there's a big difference entering both of those turns.
Well, we had these cautions fall about perfectly for pit stops. We did have Colin Johnson, Cody Graham, and Neil Strasser stay out. They all pitted on, well, let's see, Colin and Cody pitted on lap 25. Neil pitted on lap 35, so they're going to have to pit again. How are they hoping this strategy pays off and plays out, John?
They're hoping that they can make it here long enough to where they might catch another caution, or my guess is probably want a caution sooner rather than later, maybe like around lap 60, maybe 62, 63, so they can get fresh tires. Or maybe they just think they're off enough the pace and they got the gas to get to the end, and maybe they would have, if they would have pitted, they would have come out in 17th. Maybe they're hoping that if they stay out here, maybe they'll get a top 10 out of it. So there's a couple of different things that could be at play here.
So they'll get lined back up double file behind that Stephen King Foundation pace car.
And we have a little bit of attrition here start to formulate just for fans of these guys, but Brandon Ishkanian has put it on the trailer, and so has Mark Gilbert. So we do have 2 cars that are out of the race as of right now.
And looking down through, Kyle Moonen moved up to 4th. He was actually the first off the pit road. And then it's McLaren, Lacey, and Aiden Young will line up 7th.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because this is a jumbled field now, and you got different tires, and then this is going to be pull those belts tight because this is going to be really exciting here. Oh, and spins of tires.
Green flag comes out. Colin Johnson will jump out front. That outside line having some struggles there as Moonen's all over the back of Graham.
Yeah, Graham checked up because Colin, when they mashed it, you got 4 wide coming out of the corner. Those guys with older tires are just getting eaten up right now.
By the time they make it back around, it's going to be Moonen in the lead.
Yeah, now those guys have got to try real hard not to get wrecked falling back. And Zach just popped the 08 there. That's going to cause a big accident back there. But it looks like they're all going to keep going. But a lot of contact. And when you're falling through the pack, you've got really nowhere to go. And guys that are coming up that closing rate, that is so hard to judge, And not that Zach tried to knock them out of the way. It's, man, that's just the risk you play if you stay out on older tires.
Oh, around went Lawson.
Yeah, he caught the wall going into one, little loose, and that red 25, who is not Gary Sigelkow, is Dwayne Simmons, got into the back of him there after some contact there with the wall, so probably slowed up Lawson a little bit more. Looks like the number 8 of Tate got caught in that too.
So the caution flag will wave. It's Moonen, Lacey, Young, McLaren, Chapman, your top 5. as those that didn't pit will go in. Everyone else will stay out.
Yeah, and I'm going to state the obvious here real quick, but we're on a short track, which means these laps are going to click off quick. We're 15 from the end, so the give and take, where we saw Moonen kind of give Aiden a little bit of room, 10, 15 laps ago, you can kiss all that goodbye at this point. This is going to be, you've got to stake your ground, hold your ground, and try not to give anything up. I mean, you don't want to, outright block, because that's a good way to get turned, especially going into these corners. If you try to block on entry, with the speed you do carry into the corners here on both corners, you're likely to get turned. So, but this is definitely going to be a place where nobody is going to just be moving up out of the way.
Well, and you look at it, Moonen's gotten the lead now. Aiden Young obviously wants to get back up there. McLaren's hungry for it. Chapman is. Bob Light's falling back. Now he wants to get up. You have a lot of those guys, and we talked about how the front 4 or 5 guys that qualified were heavy hitters. Now they're spread out through that top 10, and now all of them want to go to the front, and there's not many laps or much space to do that.
Yeah, and at least we've gotten through the race without anybody parking on the start-finish line.
That's true.
Too soon?
No, we just need. Well, Chapman's got that Cool Ray car, so maybe it's
does.
Zach.
That's right, he does that. I should have gotten the message to Zach that he needs to stop on the start-finish line and bring out a caution at least once here.
Exactly.
See if it gives you guys a few more clicks.
No, it was funny. I was on the pit box for that, and when he did that, I had no clue that what was going on. And then I got to watch it all unfold.
I still like they made him sit in that hauler for the whole race. That kind of you just wait till your father gets home kind of moment.
Well, I told you I was standing outside the hauler while he was in there, and when they said that they weren't going to let him leave, it's like a 2.5 hour drive back home. So I texted him and told him I would talk to him later, and then
I heard they wouldn't even let you guys in there to bring him, food or anything.
Yeah, no, I was with his agent. / PR, and they were standing outside waiting as well.
Does crew chief have to go in, or was it just on Josh?
No, it was Josh, and then actually his crew chief for that race was his owner.
Yeah,
so it ended up being driver owner / crew chief.
Usually their drivers aren't the only one called to the principal's office. From what I've seen in the past, so I was kind of curious who they stuck in there with them.
Well, and when he was on Door Bumper Clear, obviously with a bunch of spotters, they were all surprised. His spotter is Reed Sorensen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a name from the past.
Yeah. So, and also a Georgia guy.
Yeah.
And they were all shocked that he wasn't called to the hauler as well.
Yeah, but those Door Bumper Clear guys, if you listen to that podcast, you know why they get called to the hauler.
Exactly. Well, we're going back to green. There's going to be 12 laps to go. Moonen leading, Lacey to the outside, Aiden Young to the inside. He makes quick work to the inside of Lacey, and you can see McLaren already looking for the best way around some of these cars up ahead.
Yeah, and right now I think the Gambler teammates there with Chapman and Aiden, I think they've got the preferred line, but looks like Zach's kind of left a gap there, and yep, the 88 of Dan McLaren is able to get to the bottom, because I do think the bottom is the place to be right now.
So Aiden trying to work that inside of 414 Lacey there as McLaren now gets stuck.
Oh, Lacey gets loose.
Contact.
Wow, nice save on Lacey.
When we talked about give and take, it looked like McLaren gave quite a bit there that maybe he'll want Lacey to remember later.
Yeah, or it might have been a little bit of McLaren saying, man, I ain't letting you take me out too. And Zach Chapman goes around down the tri-oval.
That happens with 10 laps to go. No caution as of yet.
Now, it looked like that was a case where he gassed it up and lost the back end.
But now Young has made quick work. He's now onto the bumper of Moonen as they come to 9 laps to go.
Either that or Zach's listening to the broadcast and took me serious about trying to park it at the start-finish line.
Team orders, is that what that?
That's
also
right.
A Richmond thing there, John.
That is. I'll blame you. You're the one that pointed out he's in the core. Oh, and McLaren he gave Lacey a big shot going into 3. Meanwhile, you got two battles here. The third and fourth, and now first and second. Aiden is all over the back of Kyle Moonen.
Well, you can see there, middle to exit of turns 1 and 2 was where he had the advantage, and now he's to the inside of Moonen through 3 and 4. Seven laps to go as Aiden Young continues to work on Moonen. He's up alongside of him through 1 and 2, which these two side by side like this, John, we've seen all night long.
Yeah, we sure have, and we've seen Moonen, keep on Aiden's door just like he is, making Aiden heat those tires up, and then all of a sudden Aiden can't complete the pass because he just doesn't have the grip to kind of get that launch off the corners. He's got a nose on him this time, though, and Moonen slipped a little coming out of that corner.
I was going to say, last time they were in this position, we saw Aiden Young.
Aiden cleared them.
He had to work up the track into Moonen, but he's able to clear him there. 5 laps to go as Aiden Young's now your leader. Moonen second, Lacey third. Lacey has put some separation between he and McLaren as he tries to chase down these leaders who had been racing side by side.
Absolutely here, and I don't think Moonen's done here. He is on the bumper of Aiden here. See if he can get to his bumper, maybe, and rattle his cage a little bit.
Well, and you can see how hard Moonen's going into that corner at both ends of the track.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, Aiden's probably driving every bit as hard, probably harder than he has all race too, trying to close this deal out. We only got a couple laps to go here when they cross the start-finish line.
So 3 laps to go this time by as Aiden's able to separate from Moonen. He was about 2/10 faster that last lap over Moonen.
Now, I wonder if Kyle didn't put heating that tires as hard as he was driving it in here, and they're kind of giving up on him a little bit. McLaren's been wall. No car. Oh, now we got a caution.
Caution.
Well. That's going to change everything. Tough break for McLaren. I think he was running in the top 5 there. I think he was running 4th when that happened, and he just lost the back all by himself and becomes acquainted with that inside wall on the backstretch.
So we will have a green, white, checkered with Aiden Young, Kyle Moonen, and Lacey, your top 3.
And Bob White, who we saw have pit problems earlier, fall back a few spots, he's going to be a part of this equation too.
Shout out to Isaac Salas, up 15 spots as they run now, up to that 8th spot. So a solid night for him as he's worked his way up, along with Andrew Smith. Andrew Smith into the top 5 after starting 16th. So a good run for him tonight here at Richmond as well.
So who's your money on at the end of this?
I think it's going to be hard to get by Aiden.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that assessment. But, guys, green, white checkers, guys can push things. Right now this is giving Moonen a chance who's going to start on his outside for those tires to clear. Can he send it down into 1 and be out of Aiden's outside, as he goes down the backstretch, and maybe momentum can help. So I think you're going to see a lot of interesting things. And if guys that drive it in hard down here into 1, they're on the bottom, that's going to open the possibility of them washing up, maybe into the car to the outside, or the guy on the outside washing up and losing a bunch of spots.
And I hate to state the obvious, but I think for Moonen to have a chance, it's going to come down to that restart, and really even before he gets to that start-finish line on that restart.
Yeah, he's going to have to fire even with Aiden and enter the corner at least, if not on his right rear quarter panel, be within arm's distance of it and be able to roll the outside to roll back up next to him. Because if Aiden's got him clear coming off of 2, you got to think game over at that point, unless Moonen packs it in there and moves them.
Well, we are about to find out. The light should go off next time by.
Now, these cars, if you do try to go in there and move somebody, they're a lot easier to wreck that guy doing it. But I'll tell you, those late model stocks that they've come out with, you can move a guy and not wreck them. It's incredible what you can do with those cars. I mean, you can't go in and just nail them, but you can give them a slight little nudge and then move them and get away with it. So hopefully the hit boxes will continue to develop around, and you can do those kind of things with the cars in the future.
Also, from a conversation earlier, John, I have confirmation that Roger Craig said he will double your danger pay.
Funny thing is, that's exactly what I thought he was going to tell me. Guess we should say hi to Roger, who's loafing somewhere in a nice timeshare and relaxing. So hope he's enjoyed his week off, and we look forward to having him back around and here in a couple of days.
You know he wouldn't miss our broadcast, John.
Well, he better not miss our broadcast. That really hurt my feelings. And
well, here we go.
We may have to stop at that point.
Aiden's
spun the tires.
And that's the restart Moonin needed.
That's exactly what Moonin needed. It's game on now.
Moonin's going to have the advantage going into turn number 1 as Aiden tries to fight back on that inside. Lacey's not far behind them as he watches them side by side down the backstretch.
Aiden's in trouble here. That really, really helped Moonin. Aiden drives it in. Oh, he packed it in deep. He holds it down, but look at Moonin right on him to not let him wash up. We got 1 to go.
1 to go, and they're side by side for the lead, heading off into 1. Aiden will enter high.
Did you see how loose Moonin got? That's going to give the advantage back to Aiden.
Now Lacey makes his way up on Moonin. Aiden will pull in. Oh, Moonin puts the bumper to him. And Moonin will move past him and claim the victory. Lacey second, Aiden Young third.
That's what I said. If he gets them cleared, it's going to be Moonin having to put the bumper. I'm going to tell you, I know Aiden. There is steam coming out of those ears right now.
Kyle Moonin had the shot at it due to Aiden spin the tires and getting the restart he needed. Lost that advantage through 1 and 2, and then used the chrome horn in 3 and 4.
He holds on for third, stays on the podium, but I think I'll let you interview Aiden when he gets up here, because that is going to be one spit-firing mad driver.
As they get parked, we will talk to those top 3 drivers.
What a finish. Man, oh man.
Well, and you talked about it. It is short track racing, and that is exactly what we ended up with.
It is, and I'm, not condoning or condemning the move. I mean, that's what you see on short track racing, and every driver has, their own personal code by what they go by. And then, like I said, it's not for me to declare that right or wrong. You see it quite often on short track racing. But man, kept us on our toes through. I mean, regardless of how it turned out here. And I mean, I'll be honest, I am disappointed for Aiden, but my gosh, what a finish. What a last 3 laps there.
What a finish it was. And we'll start with our second place driver. That's the 414 of Brennan Lacey. John, you've got him.
I do. Brennan, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, I got to ask you, that last restart, you're sitting behind those 2 guys. Tell me what you're thinking at that point, because it had to be a numerous amount of things. You're probably looking for places to go in case they wreck. You're probably trying to figure out how to make a move. What were you thinking, and what were you trying to plan for?
I'm not going to lie. It's the first time I ever drove an Xfinity car at a short track here at Richmond. I was, I told Moon, and I said, I'm pretty happy with third because, that he told me to take 2 tires there at the end to get the positions, and it paid off. And I was like, I'm happy with the third place. Like, I'm just excited to be up here. I thought I was going to be wrecked, It's just one of them nights.
Well, that's even more impressive being your first. We call you a rookie for this. It's not often that we get to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and call you a rookie. But, man, I tell you, that 2 tires, I got to ask, what did you feel like that did to the car? I mean, did it tighten it up? Did it loosen it? Were you able, in lap time wise, instead of putting all fours back on, what was the difference time wise in your laps with just two?
Oh, I really was track position, and I was like, I'm okay with it once the car gets tighter. Once it wears in the tires. I was kind of scared of it being loose there at the start, but luckily enough, I was able to control it down enough and just kind of drive it slow enough that it wore in pretty good. Then that caution flew, and it kind of played in my favor. I feel like, especially for me not knowing really how this car handles, and me taking about 100 practice laps and warm-ups just to make sure I can get the thing to break into the corner because I'm so used to driving cars into the corner. But I think it just played in the favor with that last caution. I feel like, honestly, it worked out to where I could stay up there, really.
All right, you rookie. You got a podium here. Congratulations. Since you're a rookie, you may not have done this before, but now's your chance to give a shout out for your podium.
I was saying, I've done it maybe once at Daytona in an asphalt car, but just a big shout out to Vanderbilt as always. Got to thank Moonin. Moonin really helped me there because I can't really drive these things. I still feel like I didn't really drive it that good tonight, but
knock it off! I can't drive it. I'm on a podium, man. I'm tired of guys sandbagging with their abilities.
I ain't that comfortable in them, but we're getting there. Hopefully run a couple more of these. But
I'm waiting for a guy just to say, go all Ricky Bobby. Say, hey, you know what? I urinate excellence.
I'm a truck guy. What can I say? But but this big shout out to Moonin and big shout out to Fitzpatrick for coming in their spot tonight. I know that was a big help as well. But appreciate y'all coming on. It's fun coming up here to talk to you boys.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Brennan, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again before too long. And Brennan Lacey, our second place finisher here in the Xfinity Series.
So that is Brennan Lacey, our second place finisher. Now joining us, the 69 of Aiden Young, our third place finisher. Aiden, walk us through that last restart and how that played out to the finish.
I don't know and don't have nothing good to say about it, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on it.
Up until that last restart, it had played out pretty well into your hands. We did see you faded there a little bit midway point, but other than that, you were out front. What kind of caused the fade there, and how equal were you and Moonin?
Just me probably overdriving a little bit and not being used to Richmond again, and I don't know if we were that close.
Well, it was a great run for you here. You come away with a third place finish. Obviously not what you wanted here tonight, but any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
I gotta thank Young Gun Creations, obviously you guys for broadcasting, obviously my Gambler teammates for supporting me, and just Roger for letting me be in the league.
Well, great run tonight, Aiden. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
That's Aiden Young, our third place finisher. Now we'll throw it over to Victory Lane. John, you've got our winner, Kyle Moonin.
I do. Kyle, this is John. You got a copy? Kyle Moonin, this is John up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you now. Sorry, my just came in.
No worries. Well, you made it interesting the last 3 laps. Aiden spun the tires on that restart. When you realized you were still to his outside in the center of 1 and 2 on that first lap after the restart, what at that point did your plan shift, or were you confident that you were going to be able to win this thing at that point? Because eventually Aiden did clear you, but we'll get to that part in a minute.
Yeah. My goal there was to get a good start, stay beside him, hold them down to the yellow line, as far as I could. That was kind of my plan, to see how that played out. And we stayed side by side there, for a couple laps, I think it was. And, then he cleared me and, we, kind of went into 3. I drove it in a little bit hard. I was trying to get to his bumper and move him. Probably not hit him as hard as I did, but it kind of what it is. It's short track racing, right?
Yeah, I said earlier on the broadcast, I don't condemn it. I don't condone it, but everybody's got to have their own code. But this is what you see on short tracks. Absolutely 100% here. But I'll tell you, going into that when you decide that you're going to do that, there's a technique to it. You didn't wreck them. A lot of guys try stuff like that, and the result is a lot worse than what he's doing. And not to give out secrets or anything like that, but kind of let this be a kind of maybe a little bit of a teachable moment. Like I said, not condoning it, but when you do something like that, what do you do? Because I know you've got to do something that where you don't completely wreck somebody. Because like I said, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here or something, but there's a way about doing it, and I want people to hear the if you're gonna do it, which again, not condoning or condemning, but if you're gonna try it, there's something you got to do with that.
See, like you said, that's kind of giving a secret away, saying what I do.
Yeah, I know.
But I guess I'll tell you this: you don't drive in and hit someone in the left rear tire or the quarter panel and expect them to save it. That kind of ends it right there. So I can say that's not the way to do it if you are going to do it.
And if possible, you got to hit them square in the bumper, and that's actually what you did there. You were pretty squared up on them.
Yeah, and typically it's not kind of, it's not how I like to drive. I've raced Aiden a bunch. He ran me, really clean right there. The whole race. But it's kind of what makes it fun. He's kind of done the same thing to me before, and it all comes around. So.
Oh, absolutely, and like I said, it made for an exciting finish here. And man, I tell you, if I was sitting in a seat, I'd have been up on my feet. And I think I don't know what that joint holds, but I'm sure 50,000-60,000 can cram up in those stands. I guaranteed each one of them would have been on their feet with that finish. So congratulations on a great run here tonight. Enjoyed every moment of it. Real quick, I'm trying to learn something here too. Your teammate said that you told him to get 2 tires. Did you do that too?
I did.
Can I ask what's your difference in your times when you take 2 as opposed to 4? How big of a difference is that?
At first it really wasn't too big of a difference, and that's kind of where it was. See, when Aiden and I both had 4 tires towards the end of the run, I could kind of catch them, but the tires were so worn off, unless you move them, or do something like that, it's going to be tough to pass him unless he messes up, really bad and drives it in too hard. So kind of right there, I knew my biggest shot was to take 2. I didn't really think it was gonna get Lacey as far up as he did, which it worked out. I was kind of hoping he was gonna be able to get down in between Aiden and I, once we got going. But right there was kind of one of those, I knew if I took 4, I was gonna come out behind Aiden and McLaren both, which then I would have finished where I was going to finish. So I took 2 there, trying to hope, because the tires weren't falling off terribly. It didn't feel not near as bad as it was at Texas and some of these other places. I was just kind of hoping it was going to work out for me there, and we'd stay green. I could get a good start. I really wasn't expecting, 3 guys to stay out in front of me. That made it a little bit tougher for sure.
Like I said, a lot of fun there. I'm really glad that I got to call that, and I bet you Travis is too. And real quick, who would you like to give a shout out to?
Just all the guys at Bandy Built, Ross Corena at Velocity Race Design. He paints most of our dirt stuff. Goldner's been painting all of our pavement stuff, which has been looking good. Thanks to him for that. And Lacey for hanging out. He was trying to be a good teammate there and help me out. So gotta thank him for that, and you guys for the broadcast and everyone that helps make this league happen.
Absolutely. Well, it's good talking to you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again before too long. That is Kyle Moonen, the big winner here from Richmond.
And with that, John, our Thursday night Thunder will come to an end here in week number 3. Of course, as always, we're thankful for you tuning in here as our Tim Chapman Racing NASCAR Xfinity Series from Richmond does not disappoint. Of course, tune in tomorrow night here on the Coast to Coast Racing League for Friday night action. John, it was a pleasure as always. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us all night long. We look forward to seeing you at a racetrack soon.
This copyrighted broadcast of Extreme E-Speed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme E-Speed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.